What's up, everybody? It's time, finally, for another very long, forthcoming, long-awaited, whatever the fuck I'm talking about, a new episode of the Jankity-Ass Podcast. And as you can tell, this is my Halloween episode. Take this down for now. Get all this stuff up. I finally got a new Halloween costume. And this is also the first time since, since before, what was it? Yeah, so I started doing monthly episodes last year before I had to leave town, which I'll talk about in a minute. So I haven't actually done like a Halloween episode since before. I was just doing like, episodes every week for a while, mainly when I was with Tom, and then, yeah, just kind of whatever after that. So I'm gonna get into it. It has literally been, it's been a year since my last episode. Not counting this. Well, I guess my last episode was earlier this month, but technically that was all recorded last September of 2022. It is now, of course, 2023. Gonna get into what I've been dealing with, why have I been gone so long, and then just some other stuff too. But first, we're bringing back a tradition. Oh yeah, we got some beer, folks. I'm not doing the Tav Hour thing anymore. I've went ahead and put a stop to that because, well, I didn't stop it. I'm just not ordering from them anymore at the moment. The reason being is because, well, A, I need to get out and about more. B, I live in an apartment now, whereas before I was in a house and my thing froze up, it looks like. Oh, come on. Son of a bitch. There we go. Am I still going? Yes, I'm still going. Okay. Ooh, what happened? Nothing. Okay, cool. I was living in a house before, so whenever they would come, I would just have to, go to the front door. But now I'm in an apartment, so I gotta, it's a whole thing. And also, money-wise, I'm dealing with a lot more bullshit. So it just doesn't make sense to order a bunch of beers and stuff like that. Maybe when things slow down a little bit or my living situation changes, I don't know. Although, also, at the same time, in order to get more money, like I said, I'll have to be out and about more, in which case I can't actually be here to receive deliveries, so it doesn't help. But, in any case, I went down to the local liquor store. One thing that is nice about my new spot here, I live in Sherman Oaks now, I'm still in LA. There's more stuff that's walking distance to me, so that helps a lot. Let's see. So what I did do is I went down last night and I got I went with the Voodoo Ranger this time, and this is the Fruit Force Fruit Punch IPA. And this is one that I started this can last night. So it's not going to quite fill up the whole thing. But that's okay because I got another one. I just went ahead and pulled this one out of the fridge. I'm going to go ahead and fill it up. And this stuff's a 9.5, so it's going to kick. Oh yeah, there we go. Can you guys hear that? Just a little bit. We got that nice, that candy corn orange going on that we all like with IPAs. Got all that crap floating around in there. Let the head go down a little bit. And, well, there's been some of the new changes around here, of course. Like I said, I moved. It kind of sucks because I had 2 rooms to myself before, and now all my shit's crammed into one room, and I got a storage unit, which I got to figure out something there. I got to find something cheaper. But as you can see, I got a new mic arm. It does still, this is more like one of the professional ones like you see in some of the other podcasts. It still has like prings It still has springs and stuff like that in there, but it doesn't quite shake around as much as the old one did. So you won't hear like the, the ding, ding, ding every once. Ow, getting hiccups already. You won't hear that shit every once in a while. And I think even if when I tap on the, I'm sure there's still something going on. But anyhow, it's not bad. It's not too strong. It's got a little bit of a citrusy flavor in there. I say not to. It doesn't taste too strong. It certainly is strong, however. Let's see. And one nice thing about not being at the house anymore is our gas bill has dropped significantly. And we're no longer renting a washer and dryer, so I don't have to deal with that. I do, however, have to pay at a machine, so that sucks. And some of our bills are just less. But there's only 3 of us now, so we're also paying more in general. Let me get one more sip. Put this away. I'll just hold on to it. So, what happened? Where did I go? So, as you remember, I was telling you guys last year, we were dealing with a bunch of stuff with our landlord. And we kind of still are. We still have to go to court sometime next year, actually, because that's just how things, time-wise, that's how things happen. This asshole tried to kick us out again. But, actually, let me back up. So, last September was... So basically, no, the end of last August was supposed to be the end of our lease. Well, it was the end of our lease. And, of course, there were still 4 of us at the time living in that house. And the thing is, since I've been living there, I'd been living there for 10 years already. Now, rent controlling, one thing that's nice about California is it's very tenant friendly. Especially like if you fuck up as a landlord. So like you gotta know what you're doing, which ours did not. But anyways, the point being is I've been there for 10 years. Rent control starts in 2 years in California. And even my other roommate had been there for 7 years, I want to say. So anyways, he tried to kick us out, but the guy was a dumbass. Didn't use the right. This is going to be hilarious. He didn't really submit any actual evidence other than that there was a non-renewal notice that was submitted, but it didn't matter. And of course, the city had already said like you can't do this, but he just ignores everything anyway because his dumbass doesn't learn. Whatever. I'm not using any names, so who cares? So, however, so we got that, and then at the same time, so literally, like the day before, the 1st of September, my mom up and has a stroke. And for those of you who don't know, where she still lives and I'm from is a little town in northeast South Dakota. Basically, it's kind of nowhere. So, at the time when we would suddenly have to be dealing with a bunch of stuff, I suddenly have to just pack up as much shit as I can and just go. Right? So, I spend the time driving back up to South Dakota from California. It's a nice little drive, but I didn't really get to enjoy anything because, of course, I'm going somewhere for some reason. An important reason. Anyway, so I'm from a town called Aberdeen, South Dakota. And, my mom had the stroke, and then she had to be flown down to Sioux Falls to, the main Sanford hospital. So we have, like, a hospital chain. We got a couple, actually. But so I get up there, and of course I go to Sioux Falls first. I stay with one of my cousins who lives there, and she's in the hospital for about a week of checking her out, and then eventually they move her back up to my hometown to it's like a nursing home slash physical rehab center. So that's where she was at. She was there. It's 3 months normally. And then, well, so on top of her having a stroke, so we get back home. I go back to our house, and of course I have to deal with our house. The police she was able to dial 911. Like, she woke up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and realized that she couldn't move. She was able to dial 911, and of course, she's stroking out, so it's all just, blah, 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 blah. Nothing, right? So the police come, and they had to break into the house through the garage. And we got lucky because the the outside door, the outside, like, garage side door, the deadbolt wasn't on. It was just the what's it called? It was just like the turn lock that's on the knob. So when they kicked that one in, the only thing that came off was the just like the door latch busted. But since the deadbolt was retracted, that part of the door frame was still fine. So I was still able to lock it just fine, so I didn't have to worry about that. And of course, whenever all this happened, I had one of my other cousins and my mom's friend go and check out in the house, and said, yeah, everything's locked up. You're fine there. But the inside door, the one that goes from our garage to the kitchen, that one was completely fucked up. Like, the door frame was totally shattered. And I found, as I was, trying to work it, I was thinking, like, okay, well, I could probably just replace this with a new door myself. No. Our house was built before things were kind of standard, if that makes sense. So there's a lot of things where they just kind of did whatever they want. And something that I didn't even take into account before is the doorbell that we had. It was literally drilled through the fucking door casing instead of off to the side like they do now, which is easier to replace. So they had to deal with that. But anyways, I hired a guy, fixed both doors. That was like $1,000 right there. So now I'm at the house, and we've got just a house. It's full of stuff. My parents were, they were basically on the level that's like right below hoarders, where it's not trash, but it's stuff. And there's a lot of stuff that, like, I can't use. I don't have room for anything, especially, my dad was a big time book collector. He would just get books on everything. And I've gone through maybe half of the collection now. I'm obviously not there right now. I'm back in LA for now. I've gone through like half of our book collection, and I picked out a bunch of stuff that, I want to keep. So I got a bunch of boxes that are already stashed somewhere, which I'll tell you in a second. And there's still, like, our living room and our garage, there's just piles and piles of books. And then that's not counting, everything else. It's a fucking nightmare. And then on top of all of that, we also have a apartment building that my family owns, which my great-grandfather actually built. He was a physician in, so he built his own, like, clinical building. This was in 1922 is when this place went up. So my great-grandfather was a doctor there, and then my grandpa was as well. And then eventually he retired, and he turned our building into apartments. And it's been that way ever since. And then also B, it was actually two buildings originally, but one building got sold to one of the other local hospitals. And instead of keeping it there, they literally moved it. So what happens is, I think you can look it up. It's Aberdeen, South Dakota, and then it's the Avera St. Luke's Children's Hospital is what the building became. And what they did is they literally got like 30 horses and a bunch of giant logs, and they just rolled this thing like up the street, like 5 blocks down the street across town. This would have been like the 1930s, I think. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head. And left us with like a small parking area, which we're now in contention with our neighbors on that side as well. But anyways, the point being is, so now I have to deal with all of this. And of course there was like stuff going on with the tenants almost immediately as soon as I got back, but I didn't know where anything was. I didn't know like hardly anything. You know, I went and checked out the building and stuff like that. And it's been, you know, a motherfucker. Because basically my dad had been running it until he passed away. And this was in 2018. And then my mom took it over. And, you know, as much as I don't want to say, like, I'm not like a red pill guy. But, you know, the more my life goes on, I really do get it. Because whenever my grandma was originally in control of the place, you know, she was living there. And the thing is, like, she only really did the bare minimum. Like, if something absolutely had to be fixed, she would call. And just kind of, it just kind of relied on things to, like, take care of themselves. You know, that sort of thing. My dad was a little more on top of things. Not quite as much. And then, of course, now with my mom, same thing. And then anytime something was, like, a lot of money, she was just like, oh, I'm not doing that. No matter what it was. So now I got stuck with a bunch of stuff. And I found out that my parents basically, anything that was wrong with the house, same thing. Unless it was, like, absolutely had to be fixed. They just didn't do anything about it. So now I got this house that, well, I'm going to be going back here after Thanksgiving. I'll be staying through the holidays, you know, A, to help my mom out. B, because our apartment building is an old steam heated building, which they don't really have on that, like, on a commercial scale in my hometown anymore. And the ones that they do have, there isn't, like, really a service that normally helps with them. But we were lucky. We found a guy who can actually, you know, service the pipes and all that stuff, and who's willing to do, like, the regular blowdown, because you have to go down to the boiler and, like, flush out all the pipes every once in a while and do, like, a nitrate test, make sure there isn't, like, shit building up in the system, which it does anyway. Hold on, let me get resituated. And then, of course, what was it? So we did get lucky there. And I had been, you know, I went in. We eventually got my mom out of the nursing home and into one of our rooms there, because, you know, she's in a wheelchair now. She can't do steps, really. She's been doing better ever since. Like, she's gotten stronger, especially now that we got her Plan B Medicare, because they only had Part A, which, you know, we didn't think we needed any of it. Well, here you are. Nobody planned ahead. Lesson to all you guys. Whenever you get Medicare, it's it kicks in whenever you have Social Security ready, so you can basically just have it kind of come out of that. Get A and B, because A only covers, like, if you're in the hospital. If something happens to you, it's gonna be like a longer time rehabilitating. That's what the Part B is for. So with the B, we're able to get her basically free therapy, right? So that's why she's actually doing better. Didn't have it before. Also found out that my mom didn't have life insurance, because, so we still got to deal with, actually there might be something there. She might have something that I don't know about, but, you know, they I guess they thought, since she was she became a citizen finally, like, right before she had a stroke. And I guess they just thought, like, oh, well, since she's green card, she can't get it. Turns out she could have had it this whole time. So lesson B to all of you, get that shit right away. I'm going to be getting mine next year here sometime soon. Let's see. And then things that I had to deal with. The roofs on both our house and our building were basically kaput, right? And it was another thing that my parents just decided they weren't going to deal with. Well, now we had to deal with them, especially now that I have to try and get the house cleaned out so we can sell it. So that the roof on the house is done. That cost us like 14 grand, which would have been less before when we had more money. And the roof to our apartment building is going to be done sometime here soon in the next few weeks, because that company works through the winter and everything like that, and it's like an old tar roof. But it was crumbling up. Like I went up there and they kind of showed me basically like where it goes up to the wall, it's completely eroded out and just huge cracks in the tar, and everything's dried up like all over the place. There's holes everywhere. So that's going to be $47,000. And of course we had to draw from our equity loan, which we were lucky to have. And the draw period ended this last August. So we went in there at the last minute and took out enough. So we have enough to pay for all this stuff. And then of course, once we sell off the house, then I can, wipe out that loan. That'll be a bunch of bills gone, so on and so forth. And we just got to see like how much it would cost to, fix up a couple other things in the house, or if it would just be more beneficial to do like an as-is fixer-upper type of sale. We'll see. Also, the housing market kind of sucks nowadays too. It's more of a seller's market, which is nice, but if nobody's buying, then who knows. But at the same time, another house on our block sold for like, because of like it had like old furniture in there as well. The whole thing sold for like 400 grand. And according to Zillow, our house is estimated to be, it was like 230K last time I checked. But that was that's for not a fixer, right? That's for a house that's in like good conditions, no defects. You know what? Now I'm curious. I actually want to see. And I'm sure you could tell. Like I said, I've been dealing with a bunch of stuff, which is why I'm just sort of rambling now. And we had also thought of whatchamacallit. We'd also thought of selling our apartment building as well, but that ended up being not that great of an idea, because the thing is, like, it would have had to be like a certain amount to be worth it, right? But everybody who had we had a broker kind of show off the property to a few people. Nobody offered more than like 200,000, which is, I mean, technically that is what the building is worth, like on paper, but it would need to be more than that, and B, because of that, my mom would have nowhere to go, so we would just had to find like another place. I did because I'm the one who comes up with all the good ideas. It'd be better to have her there, and then all of her bills there are just write-offs, right? Because they'd just be personal bills. Or no, they would still be business bills. But, what am I thinking? That, and it's a 10-unit building. So while obviously rents in, small town Midwest aren't going to be anything like they'd be here in Los Angeles. Like, I think every single one of those rooms here would go for like almost $1,000. Whereas in our case, it's like half of that. But that's still a pretty decent amount. But in any case, over the last few months, I got all of our rooms ready. Son of a bitch. So I got all the rooms ready except for the one big one that my grandma used to live in, which that's going to be my next project whenever I go back home, or my last project is to do that. And that room's that's like the only 2-bed that we have. That one's worth like what? We'll be able to get like $900 for that one easily, especially when you got like a lot of houses are going. I think they're renting out for like $14 to $1,500 on the most part back home, and these are like 3 and 4 bedroom houses, right? So you got a bunch of people with you. But so in any case, I'll be doing that. There were just more things. Let's see. Yeah. So my childhood home is, the Zillow estimate is between $210,000 and $250,000. So I don't think we'll be able to get that, just because there is like a lot of work that would still have to be done. But hey, who knows? We'll see what happens. I'll figure out when I get back. And it kind of sucks since now we have to like pay for new roofs and all that stuff. I can't do all the things that I wanted to do with their building to try and make it better. It's harder to get more money for stuff. But like for example, one thing I want to do like with our hallways and with that one big room is I wanted to put like ceiling tiles up to make it fancier looking. The ones I mean, where it's like that copper, like that dark bronze copper color, whatever, and it's embossed with like some wreaths and sunbursts and all that kind of fancy bullshit, and maybe put some crowning up around. But I don't know. I'm not even gonna worry about that this time. Maybe later once things are better.
Are you listening to this show and thinking, man, I'd like to start a podcast, but I don't even know where to start? Well, Buzzsprout has the answers for you. Buzzsprout is a podcast hosting service that provides a number of valuable resources to help you on your podcasting career path. For one, Buzzsprout offers indefinite hosting of all your episodes and allows you to host as much material as you want, depending on the type of subscription that you opt for. Buzzsprout also provides a means for getting your show hosted to every major podcasting platforms such as iTunes, Pandora, Spotify, you name it. In addition, Buzzsprout also provides various means to get your show monetized through various sponsorship and affiliate programs, links to other paid hosting platforms such as Patreon and YouTube, and your own personal newsroom to learn all the tips and tricks for optimizing your podcast for the greatest return on your investment. If you're hearing all this and you're still interested, you can go to my link below and receive an Amazon gift card for starting a podcast hosting subscription that you'll receive on the second billing period of your podcast journey. Everyone has something to share, and there's no time like the present. Join Buzzsprout today.
Good time for a sip of beer. But and then on top of that, we had a caretaker who is a relative of mine who was helping, take care of my mom now. So this is why I say fortunately my mom's doing better. She's able to kind of move around a little bit more on her own, and she only needs somebody in the mornings now instead of, twice at night and then in the morning. Because our caretaker basically she kind of bailed out on us, so now we had to go with an actual service, which I guess is fine. And now that Now that we only need it, like, she only needs it once a day, it's not going to cost as much. So there's that. But, on top of that, she still needs, some groceries and laundry and the occasional doctor's visit and yada, yada, yada. But in any case, so she's doing better there. Once we get rid of the house, that's going to take a lot of pain off of us. And then, hopefully, at some point, next year, I'm going to try looking for other ways to make even more money. Right now, I've just kind of been sticking with what I already have, which is okay. Like, my venue job, I got, 2 raises at, so that helps. It's not amazing, but it does help. And then, of course, I'm still, doing the Uber thing here, which one thing that was nice is back home, they do have DoorDash, but it kind of sucks because one thing that I'm finding out is, so what's nice with, so I do Uber Eats here, which you can't do anywhere. They just don't even try to zone into everywhere, like especially smaller towns. It's only cities pretty much, but you can basically clock in anytime that you want and just go from there. Whereas with DoorDash, they actually go to smaller areas. So like my hometown and technically like a couple towns outside of it, but not really. But the thing is they only let like a certain amount of people on at once. And you have to schedule ahead of time. Which, like, I had some days where I was able to schedule in for like a good, 6 or 7 hours. And then usually you could say like, hey, I want to add a little bit extra time. And then depending on, what's available, they'll let you. But then a lot of times like I'll go into schedule if I'm not like going far enough in advance or I just don't get to it enough, they'll be like, oh yeah, we have available midnight to 2 a.m. So it's like, well, okay, well, maybe I want to, go have a drink or something like that at that point. There's nothing else to do back home except go to the bar in the middle of town. Just a whole other thing. But, yeah, so it's like, okay, you can schedule on for a couple hours and you basically just be back and forth from McDonald's. But also kind of not really, because that first hour will just be kind of like waiting for like momentum to build up, and then you'll get one, and then you'll get like a couple more, and then it'll be over. So that kind of sucks. The one nice thing, at least if I go back, at least back home, I took the smallest room that we have in our building, and that's kind of my home. Oh, and also because it doesn't have a shower, which that's another thing that's going to be worked on whenever I go back in December here. I already put a deposit on that, and that's going to be built up for me, so I'll be able to do that at least. What I was doing is, because, like I said, we fixed up one of the other rooms for my mom to use, which we had to replace the floor. And we had to wait for that because, and of course, my mom waffled on stuff like that because she's technically the property owner. It's bullshit. Yada, yada, yada. I lost where I was going. Oh, I have a place, at least. And if I really wanted to, I could take over the big room that we have. But I'd rather, us try to make some money off of it first and kind of see where life goes from here, because it would be nicer. I would rather stay here because there's more opportunities, and I already am making money, right? The problem is that I just kept having to deal with bullshit, like literally the last ever since our new landlord took over at my last place. Like everything that I've had to basically, like my whole life has just been, I've just been dealing with, other people's actions or situations or whatever that I can't just, get away from, or not easily. So, but a lot of that is finally, it's coming to a head or coming to an end for the most part. I already see like the end, so that's the good thing. But yeah, and then as far as here goes, we are eventually going to have to go to court, like I said, sometime next year, because we tried to evict us the second time. He and some contractor, they basically kind of sort of strong-armed their way in, even though, and try to make up like all this bullshit, saying like, oh, well, you're harassing us, not the other way around, blah, 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 blah. Oh, so let me go back. So, yeah, last September, we didn't leave because A, I had to go, and B, we weren't, there was no need for us to leave. Legally, we could stay if we wanted to, since there was no actual violations. There was just, whatever bullshit was in his head that wasn't real, and he'd already been warned against. Oh, you know what? No, I'm not going to pick up. God damn it. What was I going to say? Yes. Already warned against. So we had the non-renewal, and then of course we had but we didn't get and then he stopped cashing our checks at the time. And then we didn't, and then I think, what was it, beginning of October, he finally sends us an eviction. This big old packet of stuff. And like I said, the only evidence that was actually submitted, that's why I did everything wrong. The only thing that was actually submitted was, there was a, whatchamacallit, the only evidence that he had was the non-renewal notice. Not like any of the other things that he was claiming. So he did make the claims, and then he also, according to our lawyer, he tried to do like 2 things at the same time, which you can't do. But then, so then we had to go to court, but that wasn't until literally the day after Thanksgiving. No, it was the day before Thanksgiving. So this is what actually makes it even more hilarious. So. But let me go back a little bit. So October, we get the notice, and then there were 5 of us at the time, as you remember. But we had one of the girls that was with us. She's kind of a crazy person. We didn't pick her, but whatever, she was paying. And then, yeah, she goes nuts, starts complaining. I'm already out of town at this point, right? We get the eviction notice. And, Saul starts saying, like, oh, you said that he couldn't do this, blah, 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 blah. Well, okay, a lot of people don't really understand how laws work. You can physically, whenever, like, a law or something like says you can't do something, it's not that the hand of God isn't going to come down and, like, stop you from doing something, right? You just get punished for it later. So, we said, hey, he can't evict us. He can send all the notices he wants. And we found out, like, especially with lawyers, you can pay to have them write up anything that you want as long as it's, technically legal. But, you would just get punished for it later, which is exactly what happened. We went to court the day before Thanksgiving. I had to fly back from home. I had to fly back into LA. I did a couple work shifts too at the time. But so yeah, we go there, me and the other 3 roommates, and we get all dressed up. We sit down, and we're there in court, and there was some interesting things that happened. So our lawyer noticed that they showed up with like a binder of stuff, which very clearly had not been submitted at all, because the packet that we got was just like maybe like a 10-page packet, just the basic, court stuff like, jurisdictions, you have to show up on this date, here's whatever, right? And so Muller goes over to his group. He brought his entire fucking family with him. It was him, his brother, who's also technically one of the owners, who we never seen before. He's got his dad, his mom. They're apparently split up. He's got his grandparents there. He's got the housekeeper, his I think aunt, I believe, or his dad's cousin, whatever that is, family wise, some once removed horseshit, who was our housekeeper at the time. And like I said, he's got this big binder of stuff. So my lawyer goes over there and says like, "Hey, we need to see this." And they didn't have to show us anything, right? But they're like, "Well, here's a copy of it." So we got to look through it, and I hate that I didn't get a chance to take photos of it, but we found the original form that was in there that had his notes from when he did that first inspection that was illegal way back in the day. That was there. I should have gotten a picture of it. And then we also found pictures of the inside of our unit, which could have only been taken by the housekeeper. So, and throughout the process, it became very apparent that he somehow, this guy managed to convince his entire family that we were the devil, basically. We weren't. And all that. And then, of course, right before we were about to walk in, that fifth roommate who went nuts on us, and she left. Right? She grabbed all of her shit and left. And we also saw very clearly that because, so it was me and, my two friends, and then there was the two other girls that were with us. The one went nuts and left. The other one actually stayed. And she showed us that our landlord sent the two of them, a text message, basically trying to say, trying to buy out their loyalty, basically. So the nutty one took it. The other one stayed because, thankfully, she knew what was right. And that would have hurt us, too, as well. But so then this bitch comes, just sashaying down the court hall to their group, "Oh, hi, how are you?" Blah, blah, blah. She had her moment, flicked her hair back and everything. Fucking bitch. So we get into the courtroom. This is where it's funny. Remember, this is the day before Thanksgiving. This is November 23rd, 22nd or 23rd, whatever it is. I don't know. Wednesday. So our case finally comes up. We get called in. He's representing himself. So it's him versus our lawyer. And our lawyer and the judge is another old dude. Basically, so my lawyer, opens up. It's like, well, no. First, I don't even really remember all that. They make their arguments first or whatever, saying, oh, blah blah blah. You did all that. They did all this, yada yada yada. And of course, judge asks because there's no evidence, right? Like I said before, judge asks okay, where is it? Oh, well, you see, I've got this binder full of evidence. Well, you didn't submit it. Doesn't matter. And then, our lawyer points out, okay, what about something here or whatever? The judge is like, oh, yeah, good catch, sir. You didn't even use the correct form to evict your tenants. It was some old one. He's like, oh, I got it on ca.gov or whatever, but he used the wrong shit. And literally the judge just said, okay, well, you can't, this is, I'm throwing this out. My judgment stands. Right? The case got thrown out. We didn't even get, introduced. Our names weren't even spoken at all in the courtroom. We just sat there. Right? And it was over like that. But not really, because even after the judge was like, okay, case closed, bang. And then, of course, our landlord's like, but, all this stuff. I have a witness who she fucking disappeared as well. Literally, it was I have this witness, and turned around, and there was just nobody there. right? Like it was very apparent that, you know, the guy was a loser still. So that was a good day. You know, and and then they like try to chase us down to get their fucking binder back. It's like, oh, it's my property, blah blah blah. Then, well, we gave it back because that would just be one more thing to deal with. So we didn't deal with that. So then, you know, months kind of go by. He still doesn't cash our shit at all. Not until well, I think it was like February. He starts cashing all the checks. So I was literally just sitting on the money, and I still have to like go into my bank for those months and pull out, see if I have like the actual dates that they were cashed versus the actual dates that they were disclosed. And I had also done, you know, certified mail with everything, so I've got the receipts there as well, right fucking here. So I'm feeling good. You know, obviously everybody else is still kind of worried because it's like, yeah, you go to court, there's a chance that you could lose. But, I mean, you'd have to be an idiot to do that, right? Like, the only, like, you have, I mean, there is nothing that, in the context and in the case, that would really hurt us, right? As long as nobody does something stupid. Like, not show up, pretty much. And then I still got to get, you know, try and get, like, a couple things together. I still got to put the paperwork together and all that stuff because I've been, you know, fucking busy and all that. But we have everything, at least in this case. And then, if we want to sue him again, that's another thing that I got to try and figure out. But it'll help once this is done. But, in any case, so then in, I think it was, yeah, going into March, he started some so yeah, February cashes our checks. March rolls around, starts some shit again, saying like, hey, you know, we need to do an inspection of the house, which, you know, it already said like, you know, none of this is doable. And there was like some bullshit with one of our our kitchen, I guess, was clogged or something like that. And apparently there was like a bit of a leak under the house, right? There's pipes under the house, which we don't have access to. And I wasn't around at the time. So they, you know, my roommates was telling me, I was already out of town again, right? There was a, so the sink clogged. It was one of those ones where it like it clogged and then it went down. So I didn't think anything of it. And then it clogged again. And I guess apparently they're like, we think like maybe the one roommate who went kind of nutty on us did something beforehand, because this came up. I don't even really remember the times that much anymore. But no, this was before that this happened. So yeah, it was like one of those things where the sink clogged, went down, and then my roommate went out and tried to my roommates got a plumber, like their own plumber, to take a look at it, because, you know, we're going to trust this guy. Like he'd already tried to screw us over with plumbing stuff. So he goes out there to do something with the drain, and our landlord's apparently already there, like just waiting for something. He comes out trying, you know, yelling at people, trying to be like, you know, he yells at the plumber like, you know, get the fuck off my property, blah blah blah. And there was more to it. And then, you know, of course my roommate, you know, tried to talk to him like, hey man, like we know what you're doing. Obviously, you know, what you're claiming is bullshit. And then of course he drops the whole, you know, if you don't like it, then you can leave. So right there, that was basically like we knew he was a piece of shit. I already knew, but that was kind of concrete evidence right there. So, and then, no, I remember now. So sometime later in March, there was a thing where a piece of the floor, because the kitchen had like this like wood tile pattern. There were like little slats like this that were just kind of stuck together, and they were different different stains. It was like a mosaic type of thing. One little piece came out, and you could very clearly see that underneath it, that there was no subfloor. It was over concrete, right? Well, the housekeeper that we had, we ended up having to fire her, kind of because we fired her after we saw that there were photos that only she could have taken at the time, right? And okay, I'm getting my shit mixed up again. So because of the clog, there was a little bit of water that flooded into the kitchen, right, and went under the floor. And then at some point, we don't even know if it's related, but one of these little wood tile pieces came out, and we couldn't really easily put it back, or we didn't really try to put it back in. We just kind of left it to the side, documented it, and that's it. But it wasn't a big deal, and obviously we weren't gonna deal with anything. And this was before the first time that we went to court. So then March rolls around, and he finally, brings an inspector and says, like, hey, we need to do an inspection. So they come in, start looking around the kitchen, even went into other rooms that, like, weren't involved or anything like that, because he was like, I'm inspecting the floor, right? And his dad was with him, too, who was our old landlord and then property manager, I guess, whenever their family split up. And so we tried talking to the dad, who was the reasonable one, and I was in town again at this point because I was dealing with something else. And that's when we really figured out that, like, this guy literally brainwashed his entire family into believing that we are, just fucking evil deadbeats walking around, pretty much. It's all bullshit, right? So then they try to say, like, you're harassing my dad, blah blah blah, and they leave, and tried to say that we denied them, which we didn't, of course. I'm talking about this way too much, by the way, but this is what's been consuming my life for last year, all this horse shit. So then I left town again. I had to go back home, and then they came back, without proper notice. So there's another ding on them. They came back, and basically turned over the whole house while my roommates were there, including the inspector. And then they gave us a report later saying, like, you're on the hook for like $20,000 in damages, and you're being evicted. And according to the inspector's report, they even said, like, this is all tenant whatchamacallit, it's all caused by the tenants or whatever, which is that's not what you do as a contractor, right? You don't lay blame, you just see what's wrong. So that's probably gonna hurt him too, hopefully. We'll see. So then I came back again in April, for April, and we found a place and moved out. And at the time, one of the other girl that was still with us, she had moved out. She had other things going on, but she'd also told us ahead of time. We already knew about this. It did kind of hurt because we could have stayed a little bit more and made it even worse for him. But yeah, so she left. There was only 3 of us left, and then one of them went back to New York to help out with family stuff, and basically it's basically just been there like all year, pretty much, kind of doing the same thing, but not as urgent. So then me and my friend here, who was my other roommate, we basically had to move out an entire 4-bedroom house by ourselves after we found a place. We had to basically jump on the first place that picked us. And so yeah, that was a nightmare. I had to put a bunch of stuff into storage, so I got to pay for that now. And it was again, same thing. I had to find a place like right away, so it's not the cheapest, but at least I got a spot that's literally 2 blocks away from here. And we had to throw away a lot of stuff. But then that comes down to, behind this, I've got a bunch of stuff behind the screen in boxes in my room. So like and most of it's Warhammer stuff, which means that not only, so I gotta, and then like I don't even know if we're gonna stay here forever, so I don't even know if it's worth, unpacking everything. I don't know. Sucks. In any case, so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. But since we left, and possession, like possession of the house wasn't a thing anymore, then it wasn't an eviction case, and then they came back and amended it, saying, now it's just a property damages case. And then, of course, on top of that, after I left, my roommates, they drove by, and apparently they had somebody move in, like, right away, within a week. There's no way that they could have gotten any of that bullshit fixed at all that they wanted, right? They tried to say, like, everything's broken in the whole house. It's like, well, okay, A, we didn't have time to even, A, do anything, and B, no, it's not, and C, all the things that you have listed, it's all ridiculous, right? It's all dumb. So I'm pretty confident. But in any case, whenever it's just like a damages, a money thing, it just gets kicked down the road. So it's going to be like a year out from now. Now, here, so obviously, like I said, this is going to be the first episode back. We're very excited about that. Woo. See how things go. Some good things that have come out of, my struggles. Since now I'm going back and forth between home. Now, you guys have always noticed I've got this ink piece here that goes, across my chest and back and arm. Well, since I'm kind of passing through, I had this done when I was in college in Omaha. And since I'm going that way now, kind of regularly, I was able to hit up my old artist again, so now I'm finally getting my sleeve done, all the rest of this done, and as you can see, I've already got it's kind of a weird angle. I got some started, so now at the bottom of the eagle, I got like all these banners and stuff, and I don't want to say charms, but like talismans, I guess, sort of coming down. So I got that started. This last, back in August. And then I'm going to be there again. I'm going to be traveling basically during Thanksgiving. And I'll have my next session is going to be the day after Thanksgiving. So I'll do that. And then I'll have time to do a little bit of Black Friday shopping. And then I'll go home, hang out with, the momses and some of my new friends. And new, not friends. Also, that's a whole nother thing, which I'm not even gonna get to. Like I literally made new friends, and then some of them became enemies, pretty much. So I got to deal with that now too. Horse shit. But in any case, so I got that going on, and while I was back home, they finally started selling the PS5 again in stores, so I was able to get my hands on one of those last Thanksgiving-ish, actually. And the one that I got, it came with the latest God of War game, which I started a little bit, but I haven't played through. I got the last one, that was the 2020 one, I think, or whatever, like the one that they came out with before, that was the where they go into like the Norse mythology stuff, so all the Greek stuff's gone. And then I managed to get the Arkham trilogy with Batman for like $6, so I've got that. I already played through Asylum. I'm partway through City, which I kind of stopped. I got into one of those missions where like you have to chase a ninja through rooftops and somehow have to corner around buildings, and I was like, I instantly lost the guy. So I took a break, and then now I got Mortal Kombat, the newest one, so I've been playing through that. And it's interesting. I like it. They they have this new system with it where instead of having like all the characters be playable, they have a bunch of characters that are they have cameos now. So like you kind of summon them to come in, kind of like the older ones where you had like a tag team sort of thing, except the other character doesn't swap in and then you play as them. You just kind of summon them down and they do some moves. And you can also use them to do like fatalities and brutalities and all that fun stuff. The only thing that kind of sucks is some of them are also characters that you're normally playing. So like you can use Scorpion and Sub-Zero as your cameos, but then they're also regular playable characters, which is, and Kung Lao too, which is, it's not my favorite, but you know, whatever. But then they like some of the other characters, that's how they did it. So like Goro is in there, he's one of your cameos. Motaro, of course, and then they got some older ones as well. And what's really interesting is they actually took some of like the old main characters out of the story. So like Sonya and Jax, they're just cameos now. They weren't even in the story at all, and they're not playable characters anymore. They just did it like that. But like they're still there, so it counts, I guess. And let's see, and then they have like a nice like extended first player type of thing, which I like. And then let's see, recently I actually tried playing online for the first time again, which I need to get a new headset here. I've got a headset back home. I left it. But yeah, I got rolled immediately. It was very bad. It sucked. Let's see. But on to the point of having the PlayStation. So I do not know exactly when or how, but I will eventually do I will eventually start up the Gutsy-Ass series again. But I think, well, since I got the PS5 now, I'm not gonna go back with the PS4 at all. I still have it. I'm not really sure what. You know what? I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna be going back to it though. I'm whatever series I get into again, it's probably just gonna be a new thing. Maybe I'll do Mortal Kombat Online. It'll just be me getting my ass kicked, most likely. 'Cause at least that one, it's still a series. Like I can keep. Let me double check. Yeah, because I just have. It's not tied to like any specific Mortal Kombat game. It's just Mortal Kombat. So I don't know. We'll see what I do there. And then the paint booth, that's gonna be a different story. That's gonna be much later coming because I still have to get all my stuff organized here. I don't have like I barely started getting my workstation set up. I have to clean my room pretty much, but we'll be getting there eventually. And that I'm definitely not even trying to play anything this time around yet. Maybe when I come back next year. Plus, there's a new edition out now, which I haven't even touched at all. Don't know anything about it hardly, other than that it's completely different. So we'll see. But yeah, things are gonna take time, and then hopefully one of these days we'll either get like a bigger place, or we'll just stay here, which I'd be fine with. Or, you know, if I'm lucky, I'll get my own place, which kind of got pushed back because, you know, like I said, we're family-wise, at least I'm dealing with more financial stuff than I thought I would be because my voice cracks still. And like I was saying, so much stuff just got kicked down the road for me, and now I got to deal with it. You know, there's a bunch of things that my parents could have taken care of when they were still around and they had more money, but they just didn't, and now I got to do it. And I probably won't be able to for the most part, but in any case, that's been my life, kind of in a nutshell. I still haven't gotten around to like even thinking about trying to do stand up again. I want to. I will eventually. Maybe I'll have a chance to go up before I leave. I'm not sure, but like right now, I've just been thinking about scheduling as much as I can, trying to make money, going from there. So I think, and I'll eventually do like articles and stuff again, too. Maybe I'll be able to get some going before the end of the month here, at least for like this episode. I don't know yet. I haven't saved anything. Obviously, all the ones that I do have are extremely old and irrelevant, so I gotta figure that out. But in any case, I will leave you for now. So so we've just been catching up with my life, drinking some more, keep going. I gotta work tonight again. Also, I kind of one thing that I don't like here as much. I feel, well, I guess sound wise, I'm not really bothering anybody. So never mind. So, as always, all my socials are still up. My website's still there. So, at the end of this episode, of course, you'll see, all the tags. So, go ahead and visit us. Or by us, I mean me, multimurdymedia.com, on Instagram, on Facebook, and still on TikTok. Although, obviously, I haven't uploaded anything new because I don't have anything new to up. Wait, actually, shit. Maybe I do. I'll have to double check. I think I put everything, but I bet I still got some reels. Now that I think of it, that I can put up. Plus, my the post scheduling service that I was using, it looks like it's actually working the way it's supposed to now. Because there was, before I left, there was an issue where like reels and TikToks were just kind of crapping out for whatever reason. It wasn't connecting properly, but they fixed that. I had some that were left over from like a year ago, and I just went in and hit retry with all of them, and they worked. So there's that. And in any case, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I will leave you now. So happy October, happy Halloween. And obviously I gotta shave underneath here before I go out. I got at least one party that I gotta look good for. So long. Keep on living, whatever. And up.